Welcome back to another fun-filled show. I'm your host. He is Blanchard, aka Free Blanche, aka Blanche Radamus, aka Blanchy Kruger, and I'm here with my boy right here, Rico Limbaugh, aka the single boyfriend. And and this, listen, y'all, this guy's content is awesome. He is a thought-provoking person. His takes are, they're not your what can I say? Just your obvious takes on things. He really goes beneath the surface and from different angles. And I really enjoy his content. And I'm so glad he started like his podcast. And he should have been blew up. Because he's actually more lit in real life than he is on social media. For y'all that don't know, but this social media persona is way turned down than he is in real life. But anyway. This is my boy Rico right here. Rico, say what's up.
Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for tuning in. Me and Blanche been having these conversations for years. Actually, my first time ever getting on a platform talking about anything that was, I don't know, that had any substance to it. Anything serious, anything ever was Blanche. He gave me my first, he brought me on a live one time back in 2020. And he was the first person to ever ask me questions. And we were able to talk about politics and what we saw coming in the future. And it's amazing how many things we talked about that have came into fruition. Blanche was on the front line, just like I was through the whole scamdemic. And we did the best we could to save as many people as we could from what was coming. We told people how it was going to play out. We went over the ingredients. We told people the dangers and all the threats, and we did what we could to save as many people as we could. So I look at him as a brother in battle. This was a war, and we survived. A lot of people didn't. I'm from Los Angeles. I got friends that are dropping every day. People keep wanting to convince me it's overdoses on marijuana, but something tells me it might be Fauci related. So we are, so we were just talking about how everybody has amnesia and they kind of just want to forget what we went through in 2021 and through 2024, basically till this year. And it's starting to get a good conversation, but I'm not going to take over Blanche's show. I'm just glad he brought me up to talk to you guys.
Oh yeah. I mean, you good, man. We were talking about how I'm seeing people, man, trying to go into la la land. Like this stuff is not taking place and still going on. Like they still have a global agenda going on. And it's like people seem to forget, like these people aren't playing. And so I just see people, like he said, getting amnesia and wanting to have what we call, my boy says, the soft landing. The soft landing is everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be okay. Things back to normal. It's not the case. So that's why I'm so passionate about relationships now, because we're approaching these last days. You don't want to do it alone. Listen, I don't want to be Mad Max. I might have to, but I don't want to be Mad Max all alone. So that's why I'm passionate about relationships. And Rico talks about relationships as well. We're going to get into that on another show, talking about relationships in this modern era. But
I got time. If you got time, we can go over why it's so hard to find. I mean, nowadays, especially like you said, the amnesia. It plays out in relationships too. And you find yourself just looking at people and wondering, like, how could you be so simple? Don't you remember a couple of years ago?
Dude,
it's crazy.
You took the words. Listen to me. I just said that today. That is the word I use. The word is simple. I'm like, as much as we've seen, much is going on. How did you become so simple? Like, you think this is it? Like, it's so disgusting, honestly.
Bro, I remember people were literally calling for those of us who didn't take it to be arrested. And
right.
And I remember you would walk into a grocery store, and if you coughed or sneezed, everybody would stop and look at you.
Right.
No one's seen anybody die in real life. We saw one Asian man fall over in China.
Right.
And next thing you know, the whole world goes insane. He could have died from fentanyl. I don't know.
He could have died from anything. He could have had a heart attack. It could have been anything.
He could have been hit by an African blow dart for all I know.
Right.
Hit him right But yet, next thing you know, they talking about lockdown. And you got to think about it. At the time, I lived in a different world. You know, I lived in downtown Los Angeles on 7th and Spring in my loft. I had a beautiful Caucasoid girlfriend, and she owned a yoga studio, did Pilates, and we were holding hands and just frolicking down the beautiful streets of downtown LA in 2021, 2020 early.
Yeah.
Before everything spread and all the homeless people took over and all the nonsense. And I remember we tried to walk into Whole Foods and they were like, oh, we can't have too many people in the store at once. And we were like, why? And they were like, because of we called it the Pomona virus at first. Because we're like, what's Corona? Let's call it Pomona because, you know, it's sugar-free from Pomona. And we thought it was a big joke. And then we tried to go into our favorite bar that night for drinks. And they were like, no, we're closed tonight. And the crazy part, I had left my debit card in there. I couldn't have access to that debit card for 3 years because the bar never reopened until 2023.
That's crazy.
See, people don't know what we went through in California because many of you were fortunate enough to be outside of California. See, for everybody else, it lasted a matter of months. For us, we didn't even have to pay rent for over 3.5 years. We didn't have to pay for a gas bill for your home. We didn't have to pay for electricity. They wouldn't cut off your water. You didn't have to pay for nothing except your internet. So really and truly, you could just sit around and get drunk all day if you want to and party. And you just got to pretend that you're scared of the air. And that didn't work for me. I felt like not paying bills was a really bad habit to develop as a man. Yeah. So I wanted to go somewhere where I got to pay bills. I wanted to go back to the real world.
Right.
And when I went to California to visit not too long ago, and I went to a bar that I used to go to, one of the only ones that reopened. And I see everybody in there and they have like this weird look in their eyes. It's like they're trying to force themselves to celebrate.
Right.
And I'm like, this is insane. Like, there's no way you have to try to forget the 3 years. And these people are just trying to pretend like everything's normal. And they're just like, ha, ha, ha. And I'm like, there's no way you're going to be able to fool yourself. This is crazy. And it's playing out in my entire community. It's just falling apart. Excuse me. It's falling apart. You know, what is it like out there in Atlanta? I've never really been to Atlanta. I went there once for work a few years, like 10 years ago. I haven't been out there since.
Well, I'm going to say this right. So when I was in 2020, I was going to California like once a month. So like
you from like Richmond, right up north?
Yeah, I'm in Northern California. Yeah. So I was going to like California like once a month. And then I remember, well, let me go back. In 2020 of February, my ex-girlfriend back then, we had went to her friend's wedding in LA. And I remember, you know, Kobe had just died. It was February, but Kobe had just died, like I think a couple of weeks ago. And the whole city was just down. It was just like, it was a weird mood over the city, man. It was very, very eerie and weird. And so I remember we were in a hotel downtown, and I remember walking on the street to Burlington Coat Factory down the street.
Oh, that's right by my house. Yeah, 7th and Broadway.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So you know where it is. Yeah, so walking down the street, I'm just like, something is not right. I'm like, people weren't really walking around. It was just a weird, eerie scene. So then I go back to California later on that year, like, you know, October, November, December. But then I go to LA in 2021. Now, for y'all that don't know this, when I tell you that LA was only off lockdown, listen to me, for like a month. We're talking about they were on lockdown for years in LA. Literally years. And
Nobody talks about it.
And so I think people outside of California and maybe New York, they don't realize what folks in California were going through. I saw it firsthand. Like I was there. I remember the day I got there, the next day they brought on the mask.
The mask mandate?
They brought it back. But I wasn't wearing a mask. So I was just walking around and nobody bothered me. They looked at me crazy. My last day, I was in Cerritos, leaving my sister's house, her and her husband, and I was going to a donut shop to get some donuts. And One Mexican guy at the table, he said, "Hey man, you ain't gonna put a mask on?" I was like, "No." And everybody in the restaurant turned and looked at me like, and I got my notes and I walked out. But that was the only problem I had. Anyway,
I got into I'll be honest. I mean, not without saying too much, but I got into a couple physical altercations just because I remember watching people on TV and I was thinking to myself, I wish somebody would. And, every now and again you get a wish granted, right? Yeah. And I had to actually see if I was really about what I said I was going to be about. I'll be honest with you. I went to jail behind a mask. I got arrested and went to jail. I was at a club. I had LA was closed. So I hopped to Arizona. I get to Arizona, the clubs are open, but they're telling you got to wear a mask if you walk to the bathroom. But if you're in your section, you can take the mask off.
That's so dumb.
Listen, if you stand up, you got to wear a mask. But if you sit down, you can take it off. So I guess the virus had a height restriction. So I asked the security guard, I said, what if I'm in a wheelchair? So he didn't think it was a funny joke. So I said, whatever. So I'm drinking, I order a bottle. Me and my girl are in the section. My cousins have a section on the other side of the dance floor. So I walk to the bathroom. On my way to the bathroom, a security guard stops me to put on a mask. And I said, bro, my table's right here. Just got my bottle. I just got to use the bathroom real quick. I'm coming right back. Stops me, won't let me even walk to the bathroom. Telling me, like, trying to force me to put a mask on. And I said, bro, I got a mask right here. You really want me to put it on? You're going to put it on me. Do you know he actually, I'm not no little dude. He actually went ahead to try to put the mask on me.
Wow. The security, right?
Yeah, so I put it on him. And anyway, two other guards come up. I'm getting busy. And then anyway, they couldn't take me down. So we end up falling back outside to the front. As soon as we get outside, I go like this. But the police it's a black club in Arizona. So of course the police are right outside anyway.
Right.
And they grabbed me, but I'm not fighting no more. There's actually 3-4 other people, some that came with me. Now they're fighting. So the police were like, well, what are we going to do about him? And they were like, just take him. So they handcuffed me. And I had been drinking. So I'm sitting there and I called them all types of Democrats and all kind of, I'm calling them all kind of names. And it's funny because I actually had to get a lawyer and the lawyer played the video back. And he was like, I'm taking it. You didn't vote for Biden. I was like, nah. But, so I made this big scene, but I ended up got arrested over the mask and I had to go to jail. I got bailed out. And because the mask mandate was illegal in the first place and trying to enforce it is how this incident began, they ended up having to drop the case. It took a couple extra months, but they ended up having to drop the case. Gavin Newsom tried to sue me to close down my company in LA because I work in housing at the time. So they didn't want you doing any Airbnbs because of contamination, spreading. And they were trying to tell you they want you to spray bleach on. I'm like, I'm not bleaching my furniture and rugs every time. Get the hell out of here. And you got to think about it. I was still taking reservations the whole lockdown. And I was like, you know what? Tell Gavin Newsom to sue me. And when it came time to actually go to court and all that, they always dropped everything because the whole premise was illegal. Everything they were doing, all these men, it was just ruled by edict. Basically, like a king decides we're just going to do this. That's not how it works in the United States. You don't just get to make rules at your whim and then we have to follow them. Like, that's not how it works.
Hold on, Rico. So I got a question real quick. Now I assume you're from LA, but Tierra wants to know, she's from San Diego. Where you from? She's from Paradise Valley, San Diego. Where you from? LA, no, right?
Yeah, I'm from LA. I'm actually in Scottsdale right now, but I live in Houston. So I'm in Arizona right now for work, but I live in Texas still. I live in Houston now. Yeah, I evacuated out of LA and I came to Arizona first. And when Arizona started doing lockdowns, I found this wonderful, magical place called Texas, the last of America. And that's, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, South Dakota. Those are the last, the states of the last of the republic. But we're making we are going, if you listen to what Trump's doing, we're going to be taking back some of these states by force. California is on the list. If you're seeing National Guard, if you're seeing ICE, that's us physically. And when I say us, I mean patriots. That's us literally taking back land by force in the United States. the reason we've lost these places is because it seems like they outvoted us, but they only seem like that because of these illegal votes. Remember, there's no audit. I didn't know this my whole life. I thought everything in this country was secure, and it's not. You could be an illegal immigrant and you can vote. You don't even you don't need an ID to vote. You don't need a hand to vote. They'll go to senior citizen centers and find people that are on hospice on breathing tubes, and they will literally fill out forms, send them in, and there's nobody that's going to go audit them. And even if the audit comes back that there was fraud, they're not going to reverse the results. So really, there's no consequences. So we have to remove the illegals. And I want to talk about that too, because things are looking so much better in my home state. A lot of my friends have been reporting how beautiful the immigration enforcement, removing the illegals, how much it's already changed the landscape in the last few months. I think we should talk about that too.
Yeah, it's funny. I listened to a guy talking about Memphis, and he said since the National Guard has been to Memphis, he said he's seeing people jogging, walking their dog, like it's a whole different city. And it's crazy because I went to the comments, and people are saying, you know, I hate to admit it, but the city is better. You know, I hate giving Trump credit, but the city is better. I hate, like, it's just like all these comments, like, I'm like, dude, if your area, you know what's crazy? You don't realize how bad it is until the stuff is removed. Yes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't see how bad your area is until you see it get cleaned up. You're like, my goodness, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, when, you know, my friends in California, we realized, Blanche? Can you hear me?
I'm listening. Go ahead.
Okay. We realized that the whole gang culture of murder and violence in California literally coincides with when the mass illegal immigration began in the 70s. You know, none of us ever grew up having summer jobs. We never had, you know, places to work. You know, when you would get out of school, 100% of the jobs where I'm from were always occupied by illegals, and we never knew there was a such thing as jobs. I remember when I first I left California and I went to Arizona to visit, and I seen a black person working at a grocery store and a white person as a teller. Yeah. I had never seen a white person in a job in my life, and I never seen a black person working a regular job. I'd never seen it. Where I'm, you know,
you mean like in the city?
Yes, like when you would go to stores.
Yeah, I would. Yes. What? Yeah. So listen, for y'all not from California, like in California, like say I leave out of my grandmother's neighborhood, the liquor store on the corner, no white people. The Taco Bell down the street, no white people. Like the gas station, no white. Like he's right. You don't really see like white people working in like these little immediate areas. I mean, I'm sure they work in their areas out, you know, out in the other areas, but but what he's saying is true, because everything in that immediate area is going to be either Hispanic, Black, Asian. It's going to be some kind of non-white person working in these areas.
I mean, I'm just saying, I remember I never had a friend that had a job. And the only ones of us that were fortunate enough to have like jobs and make money were those I worked for my family's company. I worked in my family's business. None of my other friends ever had jobs. The only friends of mine that ever had work were my Mexican friends, and they worked at car shops, body shops. They worked at warehouses, and they would be underage, but they would be able to get jobs because I didn't know this until I was an adult. They were no benefits, working for half the price, but half of the rate is better than zero. So they had a leg up on us forever. So what we did is we started gang banging. We would just run the streets, try to find ways to make money and hit legs.
Yeah, you hustling, yeah.
You hustle. Now that jobs are returning to LA, because let me tell you this, there's nobody that's getting off work at 6 o'clock, right? Then they go home, change into a Dickie outfit, put on a rag, and they hit the corner by 8, and they gang bang from 8 to 11. That's not how it works. You're not gang banging in your free time. You're usually working or you're banging. There is no in between.
Right.
Now that people are having jobs just in the last few months, none of my friends are out there hanging out, banging, they are literally going to work. We've never even had job offers before. 17,000 illegal immigrants had their CDLs revoked last month. One of my friends who's a truck driver,
17,000?
17,000. See, look it up right now. Actually, let me bring it up. I can bring, well, I was going to bring it up on here on my screen. I don't know if you can see it. 17,000. Let me see. Can you see that?
Yeah, I got it up.
17,000 CDLs revoked.
Oh, no, I can't see that.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to give it. There we go. Can you see that? It says California revokes 17,000 immigrant CDLs. This is a government-sanctioned discrimination. Thousands of legally present immigrant truckers lose their livelihoods overnight. Families, communities in California's freight economy are at risk. Shut the fuck, man, bro. Listen, these people will say anything to get you to vote against what's in your best interest. What's in the best interest of an illegal immigrant is nowhere near in the best interest of an American who is from here, who lives here.
Right.
That's propaganda. So my friends who were out of work truck drivers, who sold, he had his own trucking company, ended up selling 2 out of 3 of his trucks. He said his phone won't stop ringing. He's being offered triple. He's on the road right now. When I tell you I got no less than 20 friends, all drivers, all back on the road right now. Remember, they were just talking about cutting driving jobs, and they're going to get rid of them. Now, because of the illegals being gone, they need everybody. I did a story a couple weeks ago about how in Atlanta, Georgia, in your neck of the woods, Home Depot is now offering free trade school. Electricians, plumbing, drywall, paint. They're offering free courses for Americans.
Wow.
And putting them back to work. You don't even got to pay to go to trade school, and you'll get certified with Home Depot. Why weren't they offering this yet last year, Blanche?
They didn't need to. They already had the workers. They didn't need to.
See, the thing is, for every one illegal, that's one job that you nor your kids nor your relatives will have.
Right.
And that goes for voting too. Every one illegal that's here votes illegally. It dilutes the vote of one American. So I tell people, I don't care what your politics are. Who's more important, you or someone else? Because worst come to worst, your people have to come first. Your people have to be those who are in your position. If you're an American, your people got to come first versus legal. It's a big.
Well, Rico, the problem is that the emotional manipulation and the mental manipulation. So they tell you that if you care about yourself, that you're a bad person. And at the end of the day, you got to look out for yourself first. Then you can help somebody else, but you can't help nobody else let you look for yourself first. And so the problem is that they've convinced Americans that they have to look out for other people over their own best interest. So if somebody comes across the border starving, you got to drop what you're doing, make sure they're straight, then get back to your family. That's insane.
It's crazy. I was in Mexico a couple years ago, and I was waiting in line to get through customs. I was really hungry. So I came across the border hungry too. Do I get free stuff? I hadn't eaten in hours. I hadn't eaten all day. So where's my Rico check?
And you know what's funny? I asked people, I said, what country can you all just walk in?
Bro, what's crazy? I used to, I live between the United States and Colombia now, but before I was living in Colombia, I was living in Frankfurt. I was living in Europe. I stopped going to Europe when I seen what they did to my friends during the lockdown. You know how they say they put the boot to you? They shoved that. Oh, they put the boot on my people in Europe. They put the boot.
Listen, Rico, Rico, people, listen, y'all, most of y'all didn't see the footage of what was going on in Europe. When I tell you they was beating the brakes, listen to me. They were beating the brakes off of people behind those lockdowns. I'm talking about literally I'm talking about women, didn't matter. I'm talking about women beat down men, didn't matter. They was beating people down.
They were dragging you.
Cops driving through crowds. I mean, it was but guess what? If you didn't see that, then you don't understand the severity of what actually happened. People in Europe was getting their head beat in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they was going to the white meat. I remember a friend of mine, he got jammed. They actually went to his house and knocked on his door. They said that he spoke to a woman that was in the grocery store that passed him in the aisle. and they went and knocked on his door. They were trying to do something called contact tracing.
Yeah.
They were just practicing. It was practice. I remember being in LA and I went to the Yard House right when lockdown, right when they had that temporary opening back in California. And I go to Yard House and they were like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a 3-minute wait. I said, okay, cool. And they were like, can you give us your phone number? Oh, I'm just gonna sit right here. It's only 3 minutes. They were like, yeah, but we need your phone number.
No.
Why would you need my phone? It's a 3-minute wait. Why would you need my phone number for?
Right.
Oh, it's for contact tracing. I grabbed my girl. I left. I never returned to that. Because, with contact tracing, what they were going to do is they'll be able to say everybody who was anywhere near your cell phone. They would ping your phone and they would look at other phones around you. And then they would literally go out to these people where they're registered that they live. And they would detain them and try to put them in some kind of quarantine.
Yeah.
They did it heavy in Australia. They were doing it in Canada. Canada got the boot too. And you know what's crazy about Canada?
Oh, this lady right here named Figgy said they put the boot on Canada too. I saw some videos of Canada.
Hey, remember what they did with the Aboriginals and they built those concentration camps? They were going to people in the Northern Territories that have no human contact, rounding them up and putting them in these camps. They built those camps in Australia and Canada too. I remember Trudeau was a maniac and they forced compliance on as many Canadians as possible. And it's heartbreaking for me because for example, I do volunteer work with animal rescue. So I help people rescue dogs in the US and they go to homes for people in Canada because Canada doesn't have a lot of dogs because they made it so euthanasia was easy. You could buy over-the-counter euthanasia and people were just killing off stray dogs to the point where they wiped out their dog population in some places. So they would adopt from us in the States. And a lot of the people that adopted from me, they all just started passing away about a year and a half. So a lot of the dogs, I had to figure out other places for them to live because a lot of my adopters were people that complied in Canada and they're all gone. Even the doctors that complied are gone. The nurses didn't do it, but the doctors, some of the doctors did. You know what's crazy is why don't you ask your boy Jordan Peterson how he's doing today?
Well, I know he was on there crying, talking about they made him take it. How is he doing? Is his health compromised?
Man, not just him. I did a video. If you go to my page, I did a video last night on YouTube about my origin story. I don't know if you remember 2 years ago, Scott Adams had did a video saying that people like me and you were correct and that him with all his analytics and data. And now he did a video this morning in his hospital bed. The video I posted before this for Scott Adams was him basically scheduling when he's going to self-delete. He's planning on doing euthanizing.
No.
And he actually pushed it off. He was going to kill himself on June 29th, but then he started taking hormone blockers that basically blocks the effects of testosterone, which goes into my theories of what's actually in the jab. And we remember we were going over the Hydra vulgaris, and I told you there's a creature in those things that grows in your body. And I share it and they kicked me off of when I brought that up in 2022, they wiped all my new pages. They kicked me off in 2020. Right after me and Blanche met, they wiped my Facebook page where I had 12 years of pictures and wiped it all. They took off my YouTube at the time because I'm a party guy, right? I party with my friends. No one expects me to have an opinion about nothing. They think I'm just gonna, so when I started asking questions, and I shared the Hunter Biden, I'm sharing all the data before the jab comes out. They wiped me on everything. And then I built my stuff back up and they wiped me again. And the second time they wiped me was when I was talking about the Scott Adams situation. And yeah, right now he's in the hospital right now and he's doing live from his bed.
You disappeared, Rico.
Oh, I'm gone?
You gone.
Man, dude, I don't know why it keeps doing this with my camera. I'm sitting right. Can you hear me though?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's like you did a magic trick. Like
okay, hold on. Let me see.
Rico Blaine.
Hold on, I got it. I can let me fix this real quick. This is camera. Okay, that's not helping. Okay, why is this camera not? Man, bro, I don't know what's with this whole camera situation. I have a good camera. I'm using a phone like a lot of people, But for some reason, when I started having these conversations like a day ago, it started glitching like this. I don't know. Hold on, let me see. But for now, I'm gonna fix it while we're talking. Let's see here.
Okay.
I'll do this. I'll put a temporary picture in there for now. But yeah, bro. I'm definitely gonna let me fix this camera. I don't know why it's going off. What is it? Where are they? They're not even giving me an error anywhere. Okay, right here. Remove. I don't bro, this is crazy. I'm sitting here talking and
hold on 1 second. Blanche, you have 4 chat rooms open. No, I don't. I think he's running I have 4 chat rooms open. I only got 1 page open. I'm being told they're putting us in separate chats. So
me and you are in separate chats?
No, they're saying the people on my live are in separate chats. Everybody should be on the He Is Blanchard channel. I don't know why y'all be in separate chats. YouTube is doing it, putting y'all in. It don't make any sense. Thank you, Cruise Missile, for the super sticker. Thank you so much, Cruise Missile. Always support me. Thank you.
Yeah, Cruise Missile been rocking for a long time. Shout out Cruise Missile.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why all of a sudden my camera is glitched out. I'm literally sitting here trying to figure. I don't want to have to reset nothing. I don't. Let's see here. I mean, I could do a picture like that until I figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like.
Hey, listen, y'all. I wore the red hat because he had a red hat on. That's why I got a red hat on.
You know the thing is, hey, I wear a red hat because I never want to forget why I lost my home and all my friends, and I had to leave. I was forced to leave California because of Democrat policies. And the Democrat policies pushed the lockdown. They pushed the mandates. Remember, y'all don't know it. We had vaccine passports. You had to have a card that gave away your personal medical information, and somebody else had to look at your medical information and validate it for you to enter in a restaurant, a bar, a club. And when I saw that they were doing that, I was gone. I said, I'll never come back to California. And when they started playing the games with the mask in Las Vegas, I said, I'll never go back to Vegas. And it's crazy. Vegas is now cooked. California is never going to be the same. Everybody's it's bad. It's people don't know this country is barely holding on by a thread. This country is really bad shape right now.
It's weird because they're saying that YouTube has split the chat up on. I have like 2 channels. It doesn't make any sense.
Is it because of my YouTube? Want me to turn it off?
Why would that make it have 2 chats though? It's saying there's 2 chats on the same. It's weird.
Nah, I mean, I have my own chat right here, and I have people commenting in my chat, but it's completely separate than yours.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense. They're saying it's 2 chats for 1 channel.
Damn, I don't know how I disappeared. That's crazy. Let me see here. This is funny.
Do you have an external camera?
It's a phone, but it's a phone camera. Oh, maybe my phone is off. No. Oh, yeah, here we go. There we go. Let me see. Okay, I should.
Oh, maybe. I know what it is. Rico. It's 2 streams, 1 vertical, 1 horizontal. That's what I think it is. That's what it is.
Bro, that's a new StreamYard thing.
Yeah. No, I think it's YouTube because they have the vertical and they have the horizontal view. So one's for your phone, one's for like your laptop or desktop, I think.
Hey, I'm okay. I guess my camera's working again.
Okay, so we've been reminiscing. We're gonna but I really want to talk about some current events.
Let's get into it.
Because your commentary on Erica Kirk, when you said, I'm gonna let you say it though, but you said she never was meant to be a public figure. She meant to be a private figure. I'm gonna let you say it though, but what we're seeing of Erica Kirk, the reason why it's so awkward and odd is because she was never meant to be in this position. They're forcing her to be this public figure that she really is a behind the scenes type of person or personality.
You know what? The best way for me to describe it is is they're all actors, right? But
Yeah.
not every actor can do everything. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is an actor. He plays The Rock in every role, no matter which one he is. But you
Right.
get an actor like Robert Downey Jr., he can go from Iron Man to the dude in Tropic Thunder, who's a
Right.
dude playing a dude that's playing a dude.
Right.
So her range is more so being able to speak to men in an intimate setting and convince them that she's in love with them. She has the range of a really, really good stripper. Her role is not to convince the masses to love her. It's only to convince one or so men at a time in an intimate setting without any other distractions. She's not meant to do public speaking.
Right.
That's not her job. The fact that they're pulling her back down here to now talk to the masses about, to counter everything that Candace is saying, means that Candace has struck a nerve, and Candace is actually doing damage to their agenda. With everything, with the way I'm learning that everything plays out, all of this is scripted. Everything is fake. None of this is organic. None of this is natural.
Right.
Everything is being molded or painted like an artist is designing it.
Right.
And Erica was reassigned. That's why she didn't say nothing for a long time. Her new assignment was to get prepared to be the next first lady of the United States. See, this whole thing with JD Vance and Usha, they are breaking up and separating. Now, it was either going to be because Usha comes down with cancer, or she's going to break away and leave on her own. But either way, she's out of the picture. And then that's going to bring the rise to Erica Kirk - Vance, because she's not going to drop the Kirk last name. She's not going to drop it. And then she would eventually be the first lady.
So my question, so I have somebody here, JV Chanel says, someone found both Candace Owens and Erica in a music video years ago. I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't, I wouldn't doubt it. But yeah, I agree with you. I agree that, they had this little sit down a couple of days ago, or yesterday. They had some kind of sit, or day before yesterday.
Bro, let me tell you, that's the scariest. For one thing, you could not get me to go and sit down with the same exact people that I publicly declared war against less than 2 months ago. Right. She said, I want war. Now, these are people that are worth hundreds of millions. They're connected to that country over in the Middle East that we're not supposed to say their name, with the man Bibi. They're able to pull off assassinations all over the world with impunity. You can't question any assassinations they've ever done, or you're a Holocaust denier. If you say they shouldn't assassinate somebody, you're essentially denying the Holocaust. And you think you can go sit down in a room with them for multiple hours, no cameras, no recordings, and you're going to hope that your security is not already compromised by them. That is a huge mistake. She's saying that she went in there and talked to these people. These people are dangerous. These people are your enemies, and we all can see it. There's nothing new under the sun. We've seen this kind of story play out all over the world in different countries. We have the internet. You can just press rewind. None of this is brand new. Charlie Kirk's not the first man to be assassinated. Charlie Kirk's not the first man to be assassinated by a woman or marry a woman that another person sent to him to become his woman. That's not the first time this has happened. So I don't, and then now she's talking a little bit different. I remember the movie Get Out. And I'm like, there was somebody that just moved the spoon around the lid of a cup and froze you, and they can tell you what to say, what to do. And I remember when she left the meeting yesterday, she sounded a little bit different. And then she's no longer accusing TPUSA about nothing. She had a whole list of lies that she wanted to address. And when she came back from that meeting, she should have went item by item for those lies. She didn't. Now she's talking about everything else but Erica Kirk and those TPUSA liars who we literally all have the videos of them lying. Well, as soon as it happened, I called his wife, and the dude's on the ground. You don't even know the extent of the injuries. Matter of fact, you all kept all the TPUSA people, if you notice, they keep their dark shades on. They don't even take them off to look down at the injury to see how they can stop it. They don't even take their shades off to get a better look. Also, if he's hit here, they lay him down on the side like they're trying to dump it out. They didn't even turn them on the other side to try to hold it in with gravity.
You know what's crazy though? I think what's crazy is that if we sit back and just look at, see, the problem is that Rico, people don't have real life situations to compare it to, and because we live in such a cinematic world where it's so much Hollywood, and what we see is so many movies out, so many TV shows, and so Netflix, Amazon Prime, people have a cinematic mind. So when they're viewing reality, they already have a biased foundation of Hollywood, and you know what I'm saying. So it's kind of like when they see these kind of things, it doesn't even look weird to them. Like it's like, oh, this is how it is all the time in every movie. But
you want to know what's really Hollywood about this whole situation, Blanche?
Go ahead.
It's the people, they did a blanket, it's weird. They did a blanket gag order for the entire audience and the police in Provo, Utah. You can look it up. We went over on my live last night. We went over the case details, and they did it's never been done in history of American civilization where you do a blanket gag order that covers thousands of people. The thing is this, the people that were in the audience when it happened, they saw Kirk shake up like he was being electrocuted, and then he's pushed over. The video we saw, it shows Kill Bill style blood gushing out of his neck.
Right.
Now, we all know in real life, you don't see blood just gushing out like in the movies, like you said, cinematic. In real life, that doesn't happen. So that's another thing that people are saying, that the people in the audience didn't see that. And that's why you couldn't see nothing on the ground. And there wasn't like a big trail of blood all the way to the car showing that this man is bleeding and blood all over everybody, because there might have not been any blood.
Who's the young guy that was on the phone?
Mike McCoy. His father is Rob McCoy, who was pretending to be America's pastor, but he wasn't even Charlie Kirk's personal pastor. He's not even connected to TPUSA. And
the red flag was when his father said that his son was covered in blood. And I'm like, why would you say that? If like we see him on camera, literally before Charlie Kirk even hits the ground, he's turning around and walking on the phone. So I'm like, why? But why? As his father, why would you say that? Like that's something that everybody can see didn't happen. So why would you say that?
Oh, that's not it, bro. That's not it. There's more stuff that they say that's not true. But let's talk about that. As soon as you heard it didn't sound like a gunshot. It sounded more like a taser clap. And they did the analysis. The sound that they're saying was a gun 200 yards away. The sound was instant. As soon as you heard the clap, you seen Charlie's body. So it seemed like whatever caused that noise was a lot closer to him. Yeah. Also, why did his t-shirt jump up like that?
Yeah, I thought that was weird too.
It doesn't. No, that means there was something under his shirt that did that. So there's so many things going on, and we're just asking questions to piece it together. And these people are coming on the internet saying that you're evil for asking questions. You're evil because you want to know what happened. Because a man that you might have respected or followed or admired is literally allegedly assassinated in front of the world. You're demonic because you have questions. Then call me a demon. I question everything. I don't take nothing for face value anymore. I've been lied to too much. I remember somebody showed, I can show the audience. Somebody brought up a picture of Shanksville, Pennsylvania, right? People told me a plane crashed there. I seen a hole in the ground with some smoke. Wasn't no chairs, wasn't no engine, wasn't no bodies. And people posted that and said, oh my God, a crash. I don't know what's wrong with a lot of people versus people like us.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something though. I realize that people emotionally process information. So in other words, okay, prime example, you look at this Charlie Kirk thing and something is not right, right? Something's not right. But your common sense is saying something's not right, but your emotions are saying, well, he was killed, he has a wife, he has children, He's fighting a good cause. He's a Christian. He's a believer. So that all of that emotion outweighs, the elephant in the room, which is this doesn't look right. His shirt's jumping up. Something was on his shirt, popped on his neck. I mean, it's just all kind of weird stuff happening.
And then,
the guy, hold up, but the guy, Mikey, think about it. You just saw your friend get shot in the neck.
And he cut and ran.
Before his body even hits the ground. You are on the phone. Now, listen, you don't duck. You don't do the normal reaction when the gun. Listen, I don't know if y'all have been around gunshots, but when you're around real gunshots in real life, people react like they're ducking for cover.
Yes.
He literally hears a gunshot, sees his friend get shot, and literally turns around and is on the, like, I'm just like, dude, this is not like, and they say conspiracy theory, but I'm like, dude, it's not normal. It's not normal. It's not.
And people are creatures of habit. We don't all do something different in times of fight or flight. It seemed like he was in a race. As soon as you heard the gun go pop, and I didn't hear a gunshot, I heard a clap. But as soon as that clap happened, he turned around and was racing. He was speed walking. He didn't go check on Charlie. You know what's crazy? None of these people even acted like there was a possible active shooter. They acted like it was one and done. How did you know it was one and done?
How did you know?
Nobody looking up at the ceiling, and how did you not see somebody perch? There was nobody on the roof. Tyler Robinson didn't do this. Tyler Robinson is innocent. Tyler Robinson will be exonerated. Do you know what they have as evidence against him? They have a signed affidavit. They have nothing, no physical, no residue. Matter of fact, he was at McDonald's, I think, with his parents the next 2 days later, and they said, you know what? He kind of looks like he walks like our son. People won't play any videos of Tyler Robinson talking to the camera or hanging out with his friends because he's heavily autistic. His mom had to coach him when he was reading that acceptance letter on, and you can find it on Twitter. He's reading his college acceptance letter, and he doesn't really know what to make of, and he's like, yay, but he's alive, but he's not all the way there. He's autistic. And one of the characteristics is they don't understand nuance. Like, if you ever notice Rampage Jackson's son, Raja, also heavily autistic. So that's why when Rampage would make a joke, he would just stand there and he doesn't understand. He's like, you don't like being my father. But Rampage was making a joke. So when the guy, Psycho Stu, was playing like he's hitting him with a fake can, he doesn't understand that this is a joke and it's all for fun. He's not all the way there. For them to now be weaponizing these autistic young men, it's not just these two guys that are losing their minds publicly. They're saying that was also the shooter in Butler, Pennsylvania. They're also going back to all these recently trans shooters. Remember, the kids who they convert to be trans and gay are the autistic kids that are socially awkward. They tell you, well, maybe your kid isn't socially awkward because they're autistic. Maybe they're just gay. Maybe they're just trans. And then you put a dress on them and clap, and then they reaffirm it. And that's how they manipulate these children, these kids who are vaccine damaged. That's where a lot of this autism comes from. And it slows down their learning ability. They snap out of it in their 30s, but they're usually about 10 years behind average kids. I've seen it.
Diamone says that they are using AI with Erica. Her mother patents the technology.
Yes, her mother and father both work in tech, and they worked on the Iron Dome of this amazing, awesome country in the Middle East. They built the Iron Dome. It's amazing. Her family's rich. They live in the Hamptons, but yet she was all of a sudden, after she left Romania, she finds herself applying for a job as an intern in Phoenix, Arizona for TPUSA.
Yeah, but I think she played ball in Arizona, didn't she?
You know what? I know she was playing sports at a school, but
yeah, she played basketball. I think I think she went to school out there, college.
But she lived in the Hamptons, on the other side of the country. When Charlie Kirk called her after her interview a couple of days later, she was back in the Hamptons. Why is a girl who's so well off that she lives in the Hamptons applying for the job applying for an internship at TPUSA And she's a former beauty pageant winner who owned her own nonprofit called the Romanian Angels. And she worked with Tyler Boyer before TPUSA even began. But people don't want to understand that these women, certain women are good at certain jobs and they reassign them. Her next assignment was Charlie Kirk. Her next assignment after this is JD Vance. But they're giving her way too much exposure. People are starting to see through her and the public don't like her. Men like her. If you look around, it's always male commentators that are giving her the benefit of doubt. It's the women that are seeing through her. The women are reading her body language, her eyes, and the women are saying this is BS and she's lying and she's fake. The men, because we're shallow and we like a cute little blonde, maybe she is just widowed. Maybe she is just sad. Maybe she's not lying, but the women are saying, no, this is fake. This is all staged. And I brought up some of these videos and I did a thing called the Erica Kirk Truman Show. There's a video from 2019 where her and Charlie are doing like their first time doing a sit down interview when they got engaged. And she's sitting there and let's not mince words. Charlie, a lot of people said he looked like Butthead from Beavis and Butthead, especially back then. He didn't have no money back then. So you see a girl that looks like Erica Kirk, a little blue-eyed, blonde, little small.
I don't think she looks that good though. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't think. I'm not.
No, especially back then. So here she is saying, "Oh my God, I can't even look at him. If he comes here, I won't be able to speak." This is after they're already engaged. They've already been seeing each other. You're not meeting Leonardo DiCaprio or Chris Brown for the first time. It's your fiance, Charlie Kirk. It just shows you that she's theatrical. She was playing the hell out of this role because the only time a woman is going to act like that is when she's paid to act like that. Usha Vance is a real woman. She don't like JD. She get tired of him, roll her eyes. Now that's a wife. That's a real wife. There, because women ain't gonna, no women is always happy with their man. But when you are seeing somebody and she's always happy to see you like she's your pet, that's now she's putting on a role. Now there's something going on. And Charlie was on the road over 300 days a year. When was he having time to be your husband? That it wasn't a connection the way they say. So there's a lot of blind spots that people don't want to talk about because, like you said, they're emotionally invested in the story and they don't want to remove the emotion and look at the facts. And I fall out with people all throughout my life because I'm not emotional with them. I've never been. I'm a Capricorn. I don't have emotions. I don't really feel anything. I just go over. I'm a pragmatist. I look at logic and I think about things and whatever makes the most sense. But it's not based on how I feel about anything. I don't feel anything.
Hold on. Figgy made a comment. She said that they're targeting autistic children because they're asexual. They're not carnal like most people. So I guess it's easier.
Yeah,
it's easier to work with a clean slate.
Yeah, because for one thing, if you're autistic and you're carnal, if you're not carnal, it's hard to compromise them or to use somebody to manipulate them. So that's why a lot of people like putting women in certain positions because with a man, you can always honeypot them. Think about it. Think about how many men they're trying to say went to Epstein Island as politicians, not the scientists, because that's another part of the Epstein story people don't want to talk about. From my research, the COVID vaccine was developed by the scientists, and that's what's in the Epstein files, which is why they have to keep them closed. The dates all match up. The politicians, the kids, that's only the surface. The real thing is all the black kids that they were trafficking from the West Indies, and after the earthquake in Haiti, they traffic all those black children for experiments, and that's why the vaccine is working on us so well. That's why all your favorite black people you're seeing are just dying left and right on the news, and we're just pretending that they're just overdosing or having just heart problems. There's a reason.
It's so sad, man. It's so sad. Oh, it's so sad.
I just lost two of my friends in LA, two girls in their 30s, and people are trying to convince me that they overdosed on weed. And I said, they don't even smoke that much. I know what they did last summer. I remember that they had I got my vax in their profile picture, So now I share that a lot. If you go to my Instagram, Right Wing Rico or Safe and Effective Podcast, that's my, I share all the obituary stuff from people because that's what Facebook is now. It's not where people go to talk to their friends. You go there to keep score of how many of your friends have just died suddenly. And that's where I'm able to pull a lot of my data. And then I go through their records and I see if they announced they were vaccinated.
Yeah.
They always did. I was doing a story about what's the black woman, the real pretty one, the anchor that was in Atlanta. She's in your neighborhood.
Yeah, I think was it Davita Moore, maybe?
Davita Moore. And remember, her last picture alive was her getting vaxxed. She went into a coma that night. They didn't want you to know it was the vax. So this was the crazy thing. If you died less than 2 weeks after you took the shot, they declared you as unvaccinated because you have to be alive with the shot in your body for 2 weeks for you to be considered fully vaxxed. So 80% of the people that died within 2 weeks of taking the shot. DMX, just like Jovita, they died the same night. They died the same day. They died instantly. You know, it's crazy because I didn't take the shot. I had to get records from other people. They actually they would give you an injection through a drive-through. You weren't allowed to drive off for 15 minutes because they didn't want you to drive while you're on the freeway. They didn't want you to die while you were on the road. And I'm sitting here looking at people like, why are y'all in this drive-through behind this abandoned Wendy's letting a stranger with black Air Force Ones and a mask on give you injections? When did everybody lose their minds, Blanche?
Listen, I know somebody that went to the thing to get the shot, knew somebody there, so they faked the shot. I'm gonna tell you how detailed it was though. So they had to take the injections and they had to put the injection into something. So they couldn't just go and just not let. So they basically put the injection into a piece of fruit. Then the person came and collected. Like it was crazy. Like it wasn't just, oh, I took it right. No, you had to go through the whole process, inject it into something, get it syringe. So yeah, it was crazy.
You want me to tell you why? They couldn't afford for discarded samples to get out into the public ahead of time because when they looked at it under a microscope, the things they saw in there, we don't know where it comes from. They found living creatures in those defrosted vials, but they also found what appears to be technology. It's like machines, nanotech building itself. Now, we're humans, right? We don't have machines that can build nano machines. When they talk about nanotechnology, they're talking about future tech 50 to 100 years from now. Yeah. We don't have machines that can build nano-sized machines. So we don't even know where all this stuff even comes from. We don't know where those jabs were synthesized. And they had 8 billion of them on standby. To even make 1 billion would have took 13 years. And that's even with factories all over the world. To make 1 billion doses, a billion is 1,000 millions. So that's a lot of manufacturing, putting something in a vial. They had 8 of them. Where'd they come from in that fast? It would have took years to make 1 billion. Where did you get 8 from?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what's crazy. I remember in January of 2020.
Stimulated students, man. It's not just your boy. A lot of my friends like that. I lost my uncle. I lost 2 of my uncles and my step cousin the same exact way, bro. Like right after. A matter of fact, a lot of people are passing in their cars and then they're crashing and they're blaming it on the car crash, not knowing that you died and then you crashed. Yeah, people don't want to talk about that.
Matter of fact, one singer from America's Idol, he died like that. The big boy.
Yeah, you're right. Actor died like that too, man. Have you guys been noticing how many actors every single day are just literally just dead, just gone? And it's a lot of black actors, a lot of them.
Hold on, what was I going? Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So January of 2020, I posted a video and they showed they already had technology for a nano-sized cell. It's a robot the size of a cell, and it was showing the robots attacking the cancer cells. I saw this in 2020. And I was like, what in the? And it's crazy because I was like,
where did they come from? Where they come from?
I don't. That's what I'm saying. Like, do you know how crazy? Think about a cell, a robot the size of a cell attacking a cancer cell. Like, listen, I know we advanced, but goodness.
Now you know what you're talking about, Vance. Remember, at the World Economic Forum, at that UN assembly, Boris Johnson was. We have nanotechnology that's going to your blood cells, and they will repair and do this and this. And then I'm like, okay, if you can put nanotechnology into somebody's blood to help them, you can put it in there to harm them too. You
Of
idiot.
course.
That's a horrible idea.
Of course.
I don't want nothing new. I'm just a human. I'm gonna live like a human. People want to keep trying to water the grass. They want to water grass with Gatorade. It doesn't work. You can't reinvent the wheel. Right. Why do you think these other lifestyles and everybody trying to do everything different? It never works. Humans live a certain way. And when you're trying to introduce all this stuff, it all just leads to death and sickness. Bro, when you look at how many people now magically just have cancer.
That's actually in the Bible. You know that, right? It says the ways of man seemeth right, but in the end are the ways of death. That's actually in the Bible.
Absolutely. Yeah. I forgot the phrase. And I forgot the verse, but you're right. You know, I mean, you're my go-to guy for the Bible verses. And I ain't gonna lie, listening to you, I've actually been looking up different Bible verses and becoming more, and becoming more well-versed and learning more because I watch all your content and I share it every day. So, and then they blocked me from sharing your content for a while. Like right now, I'm blocked from sharing your content. I don't know why. I can't share nothing. I use Opus clips. It lets me upload my Opus clips, but it won't let me copy a YouTube video and post it no more. I'm blocked for everything. I don't know why. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Samir, they're still talking about the animal trials. Yeah, all the animals died in the trials, which is crazy.
Oh, absolutely. And they still put it in you. And they still put it in you. But you know what's crazy? I remember in 2020, they were already the same year in 2020 in California. They were already giving out experiments and giving out the jab to people because they want to work in Hollywood. They told everybody in the beginning, you're gonna have a false positive for HIV if you take it. Then all of a sudden now you got people popping up all over the country, especially like in black cities, talking about, oh, black people just got more AIDS than everybody. No, a lot of these people that are getting tested are people that also took the shot too. So they're all going to have a false positive for HIV because that was a part of the jab. They told you will get a false positive. It's not because now these people are just having more sex in these cities than they did the year before. If you took the jab, you're going to have a positive. You're going to test positive for HIV. My question was, how you know it's false?
Well, yeah, right. Like, how do you know it's false? And I did a video that Johnson & Johnson vaccine. I told people, I read about 10 articles. They used a strand of quote unquote, they said AIDS, HIV virus or whatever. They used that strand to create that virus. And so they said you will possibly have a positive test, false positive from that.
He's
so
right.
Again, I'm like, just think about this for a second. Y'all think about this. What's the likelihood of something popping up on the scene, right? Just pops up in March. And then by October, they have all the trials, all the tests, and it's ready to go and it's safe and effective. So what's that? April, May, June, July, August, September. So in 6 months, they perfected something that normally takes 13 to 15 years. And you know why people took the shot? Emotions.
Yes, they threaten you that you're going to kill your grandma. You're going to kill my grandma. I said, look, if your grandma has to die, if your grandma requires me to donate my body to science while I'm still alive for her to live, you might well go kiss Big Mama goodbye because that's not happening. Yeah, you about to let Big Mama go. Stimulated Students just made a point. He's absolutely correct. There is no such thing as HIV and AIDS. It's actually what they're considering is AIDS has never been isolated. There was a man in France one time that in the 70s, he said he isolated and never shown any proof. Basically, what they do is there's about 10 to 15 known diseases that specifically attack the immune system. Yeah. What they did was they combined all those diseases and they called them HIV and late stages AIDS. So any immune system issues, instead of you treating with immunotherapy, they want you to believe you have a novice virus called HIV. The retrovirus drugs that they created to treat it is what actually burned people's cells to death and killed them. But they charged you up the UYA for it. I tell people, it's all about money is the key of all of this. It's not the disease that kills you, it's the treatment. You know, a lot of people never even died of these diseases. They never knew they never had the disease until they went and got tested for it. I remember back in California in LA when I was a kid, there used to be like these HIV vans on Crenshaw. And it would be basically a person with a mask on and some scrubs. And you're sitting there letting a stranger put a needle into your arm, telling you they're testing you for something when they could have been giving you something. It's a shame that people are just so trusting and so gullible when you should know better by now that believe and trust nothing and no one ever.
I would say, I have a comment here. I'm sorry. One comment, read it. There's an enzyme called luciferase in the vaccine. I've done over 200 hours of research, and this is 100% fact. Yes, I'm not listening.
It glows. It glows under certain light. So they can tell who took the vax or not when you go to airports because they have special cameras that can detect the luciferase in your blood. Absolutely.
Now, JV Chanel said Magic Johnson definitely got the cure. He never had it.
There's nothing. He never had nothing.
Magic Johnson, he got paid to say, listen.
He had financial aids.
Right. If y'all remember back in that time period, right? AIDS and HIV was seen as a gay white man's disease. It was not seen as, so basically it was for a segment of the population, white and homosexual, those people that got AIDS. So they needed to expand that. How do you expand AIDS going from it being a white gay man's disease to everybody can get it? Arthur Ashe got it. Remember, Arthur Ashe got it from a blood transfusion. They said Magic got it from having orgies with women, but they've already said it's almost impossible to get AIDS from a woman.
Absolutely.
They say it's almost impossible to get AIDS from a woman. So if Magic did have it, he got it from, well, who's that dude he was dating? That singer, was it Jermaine something or?
I know you're talking about
Jermaine Stewart.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? My uncle back in the days, they used to run around LA and somebody approached him and said, "Look, I got a video."
Yeah, Jermaine Stewart.
He said, "I got a video of Magic and Jermaine. If you want to buy it." And my uncle's like, "Man, I don't want no video of them." And my uncle's like, "You know what? If I'd have got it back then, I could have sold it in the future." But you got to think about it. Being black and gay I didn't know there was a such thing as gay black people until I was probably in my 20s. That was a whole new concept. And Magic is what kind of made it go mainstream with it being possible. Right. And that's when it started to come out. Because before then, you thought gay was only a white thing. And but think about it. They wanted to expand their euthanasia campaign. Remember, it was the treatment that killed all those people. Remember Kanye talked about it. He said, Magic Johnson got a cure for AIDS, but all the broke motherfuckers passed away. But you got to think about it. All the people that they were giving those drugs to, remember, Magic didn't take the retrovirus drugs. They gave him a special immunotherapy. Remember, Dr. Judy Mikovits talked about that. Remember when she destroyed Anthony Fauci, she brought up Magic Johnson. That was a big thing back in the 80s. So it was all scheduled and it worked. They killed off a lot of people, but they needed to kill off more. Our population of 13% is going to be about 3% at the rate we're going by 2030.
You think that low?
I'm pretty sure, because you got to think about it. We're past the rate of replacement. We don't have kids anymore. And if it's also giving you cancer, you're not going to get pregnant. I don't know anybody having children like that no more. I know a couple people that just had a baby, but it used to be everybody in relationships would get pregnant, have baby. I don't even see. I haven't seen a baby in probably 2 years. I don't even know anybody with kids anymore. Not that are newborn. And I know a couple of people that are I know one unvaccinated couple because both of the parents during the lockdown were in jail and they didn't get vaxxed in jail, and they just had a kid. They both free. But I mean, everybody else I know that went out and took it. I don't know any of my friends that took it that have kids that are new. I don't know anybody of my friends that are not complaining about having health issues right now. One of my best friends, he's in the military, And I begged him not to do it, but he's in the military. He couldn't really say no, according to him. And now he calls me and he was like, man, we got to start being careful. I'm like, what you mean? He's like, man, our health, we got to start. And I was like, what's wrong with you? He's like, man, I'm having all these different issues. I said, I'm not having none. I'm fine.
Man, Rico, Rico, I know somebody. And when I tell you he well, put it this way. About 8 years ago, he was competing in bodybuilding shows. And now he's can barely walk. He was living down here, and then he moved back to California. And obviously it's just bad, man. It's just bad.
You know why it's so bad? Because for bodybuilders especially, so this is my whole, what's amazing, Blanche? If I would even mumble this on social media years ago, they would have kicked me, they would have kicked my channel, struck me, and wiped me. They wiped my whole channels. And now I can openly talk about it because the HHS secretary is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So RFK Jr. is the reason why we can openly talk about this on the internet. Because it's now public knowledge.
Hold on 1 second. Thank you, Tierra. And if you have sex with anyone who took that vac, you will get that nanotech passed to you. I don't think, listen, there was a guy in Jamaica, a doctor, and he was looking at people that were with people that were vaxxed, having sex with them. And he was showing how it's basically like because it's smart technology.
Is it so?
No, he said basically when you have sex with somebody, it knows to pass through and go to the person. That's why I don't understand y'all want to jump out here and just start dating anybody because dude, these people like you don't like if somebody say I didn't get vaccinated, right? That's not enough. It's have they been sleeping with somebody that's vaccinated? That's the question. So go ahead.
No, I said I actually put in measures. I screen anybody I'm dating. You know how many girls I had to kick out of my house because they admitted that they took the shot? There was a girl, me and her was on the way back to my house. She told me she took it. I pulled over and put her out. I stayed with my ex-girlfriend who was abusive as hell, used to beat me up. Her little yellow ass used to whoop me. I stayed with her because she didn't take the jab. I had to literally endure that because it was too risky to just be out there dating. And then so many people kept making excuses. My grandma is sick. I want to go visit Mexico. I want to go to Hawaii. I said, why do y'all? So you telling me you willing to risk dying for some tacos and some coconut water?
I don't think people understand that it's not just enough to say, I didn't get the vaccine. It's who have they slept with that got the vaccine, because that's the question. And I guarantee 9 times out of 10, they've slept with somebody that got the shot. Why? Because 6 billion people took the shot. So more than likely, you slept with somebody that had the shot. Now, I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense for people. That's why I'm talking about a soft landing. You're running back out here in the street trying to have this good time, but you not realize it's a war zone now. If you think about it, if you were out the game for a couple of years, now jumping back into the game is insane because you can't account for what somebody's been doing the past 5 years with their body. Forget what they tell you. Who have they slept with? That's the question.
And then people will lie to you about taking the jab because it's no longer cool to brag about it because now the new information is coming out that it is deadly. They put a black label on it and they don't want to tell you the truth. The truth is there is the eggs of a creature, and that's why they had to freeze it. And it defrosts it inside your body and it grows. And that's what's causing the organ damage, the blood. It's not even a blood clot, it's a blood clog because this organism, this Hydra vulgaris, is growing in your body and it's clogging your arteries. It's damaging your heart. It's growing throughout. It's not supposed to be there. So it's causing, and a lot of people's bodies are just rejecting it because they don't want to be a host for this foreign entity, this alien creature that's in their bodies. So their bodies reject it and they die. But remember, if you watch Died Suddenly, that they're pulling this creature out of they can't even embalm you anymore because the embalming fluid won't go through your veins because this thing that's not supposed to be there that was implanted in you with a needle is now growing inside you. Look it up. It's called Died Suddenly. It's on Rumble.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it.
Now listen, I have the prequel to Died Suddenly. It's a video with a woman named Dr. Carrie Madej. She was on Stu Peters. She's the first one that actually got samples and looked at it under a microscope. That's why they had to squirt it inside of a piece of fruit. They could not discard nothing with enough of a sample in there for you to study it. They didn't want anybody to know. See, now they don't care. It's too late. It's already in you. Nothing you can do about it. Who are you going to arrest? Who you gonna protest? It's too late. The damage is done.
Yeah.
So now we can talk about it freely because we're not giving medical advice. We're just talking about the consequences. So it's already too late.
Hold on. I got a comment here. More than likely, anyone who consciously did not take the shot is also conscious about who they are sleeping with. Listen, Figgy, it sounds good. What you're saying in theory makes sense, but you have to factor in human emotions. You have to factor in people wanting something to be true that's not true. I'm telling you now, because it's been so long, you got to think 2020, 2021, 2022, it's 2026. Out of sight, out of mind. So most people have let their guards down. Yep. They're trying to run back into this dating market and I'm going to get with this person. And I guarantee many folks going to slip up and get with somebody that has been with somebody that was vaccinated. So again, it's not a person saying, I'm not vaccinated. It's a person who have they slept with. That's the question. It ain't most folks gonna say I ain't vaccinated. Who have you been with? That's the question.
And the thing is, I knew that this was something that could be sexually transmitted because they were advertising it on the BLK website for dating. Yes. And they were letting you put your vaccine status and they were like promoting it. But when you go to Christian Mingle, it wasn't on there. When you go to these other dating websites for other races, it wasn't there. But for the Black website, it was there. But then you start keeping score. There was no white or celebrities. There was no Asian celebrities doing a roundhouse kick of a needle. No Mexican celebrities putting a sombrero on a needle and dancing. But they had rappers making songs called Vax That Thing Up. You see Tyler Perry talking about the gangster spike proteins with that bullshit black doctor who's sick right now. And then basically the whole marketing campaign was targeted at black people. They brought black people into every aspect of it. They only specifically wanted it to go to black people. I remember watching people of other races begging for it and getting mad because they didn't have access to it. But nobody in the hood found it hard to get access to the J.
Not one black person complained about not being able to get that shot. Not a single one.
Not a one. So when I tell people, when you're 60% of the population, if you experience a mass die-off, your people can recover. But when you're only 13%, you do not have that luxury. That's why I said this was something specifically to wipe down one group. And I have the evidence because I remember the kids they experimented on. They brought white kids for the whole sex stuff. But when you look at the kids they experimented on that they brought from Haiti, West Africa, the Caribbean, and they had a big group of them that came after the earthquake. A lot of y'all don't remember the earthquake of, I think it was 2005 in Haiti and Port-au-Prince. And there was a lot of orphans. Those orphans were going to Epstein Island. They were doing experiments. People rarely talk about there were 1,000 different scientists that worked on Epstein Island, and he had an office at MIT. He had an office at some of these prestigious universities. Even after his sexual conviction in 2006, he had an office up until 2019 in the science labs of these schools. And they never want to tell you what they were experimenting and working on all these years and that it was successful. So successful that it seems like Bill Gates stabbed him in the back and took his research. And Bill Gates is taking credit for the results. That's why Bill Gates wants to block out the sun. See, they use cloud seeding and they blocked out the sun for 2 years in California. We had nonstop rain. We had our first tropical storm. It was cloudy for 2 years, and you saw all these people sick and dying. The sun is what kept the effects of the jab from killing you, the sun exposure. But being in the dark, that's what the removal of natural sunlight, it kind of amplified the effects. So that's why you're noticing in California so much more death than you're noticing in other parts of the country. If they could just block out the sun for everybody, you'll get the same results. But see, other states have outlawed cloud seeding since then. Tennessee, Texas, Florida, they've outlawed, and Georgia too. They're outlawing it because they don't want you to do cloud seeding because it would just amplify the effects of the jab. This is all science, but it's all meant to reduce the population. I tell people, even the LGBTQ, the gay agenda is a population reduction agenda. Those people don't have kids. If they can convince your kids to be gay, you won't have grandkids. It's all depopulation. Everything is just to remove us. And it's been working.
Nicodemus said folks on GAB were also saying that because of their extreme micro size, basically prisons, a string of molecules smaller than the cells, that transfer will be an issue, maybe airborne or can penetrate skin. He's talking about what my friend said too, that there were multiple shots. So he said it was like 30 some different versions of the shot. So again, some people may have got saline, some folks may have got turbo. Like it was so many variety of shots where you don't even know what's in your body, whether it's an octopus alien baby or you don't know what's in your body. But again, this is why people are being lulled to sleep with all of this drama. Think about it. All of this drama that we're seeing, Erica, Candace, Israel, Palestine, Russia, Ukraine. So all of this stuff is a distraction from these past 5 years. These people had y'all put some in your body and y'all dropping like flies. And they're still talking about pushing this agenda with this digital ID and digital, like there's so much stuff going on. And they got people's minds focused on foolishness. There is no back to normal, y'all. It'll never be normal again. It does not exist. It will never be normal again, ever.
No, I mean, listen, the closest you'll get to any type of normalcy is if you're able to escape to Pennsylvania, to an Amish community, or if you go to a country in the world that is so poor, they don't have the electrical infrastructure to do any of this nonsense. Right. All of this stuff requires electricity. It requires power to build these towers, to push the mass surveillance, to do the mass media, to all this stuff requires energy. And in other parts of the world, they never even bothered giving them injections. They don't have the electrical infrastructure to set up what's required to push any of this stuff. These they're wiping out the entire populations of these developed nations, not those poor ones. That's why they're trying to bring the poor ones here to wipe them out. They're mass migrating people from the poor parts of the world to here because they want to poison them too. That's all it is. I mean, they're bringing them here because this is where they're able to have access to you and to push their agendas. But if you go to other parts of the world, they don't have the luxury. But one other point I wanted to bring up too was because it was based on what you were just talking about, territory. I want to know why there was never any overlap when you went to go get a shot at a site. There's AstraZeneca, Moderna, J&J, whatever. How did they divide up? So it's like they must have had a map and they must have decided who was going to get what territory since there was never any overlap. So how did they decide which communities got which injections? They definitely planned it a certain way.
Yes.
And certain shots went to certain people. I want to see that map. I want to know who got what and why.
I mean, that's a good question. Like what? Like who?
I know the childhood vaccine schedule that they were giving to kids at King Drew Hospital in England in Watts is different than the childhood vaccines they give the kids over at Kaiser. Right. No, they don't give you. It's not one size fits all. You used to have 135 different shots they give kids. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He discovered with Del Bigtree, they never safety tested any of those childhood vaccines, and he won the lawsuit. So 40 years almost, and they never gave one safety test to those shots. So the truth is, Blanche, we don't even know if vaccines even exist. We've never been able to test any of the vaccines. We don't even know what's in them. We don't know what they do. We don't even know if vaccines exist. So that's why I tell people it's all junk science because you can't verify it. Science requires experimentation, but also it has to be an agreed upon conclusion. If me and you do the same experiment in different places and we get the same results, we can say it's a fact. Independently, we can't verify anything on those vials. There's no testing kit. You're just blindly letting them put it into your child. And then you wonder why he has all these emotional issues and learning disabilities.
Yeah.
His brain is swelling. He looks normal, but his brain, and it hurts to think. And they did that to a lot of our kids because Robert F. Kennedy also discovered that whatever's in these injections is testosterone reactive, the same as that creature that's in the COVID-19. It synthesizes testosterone. It grows based off of it. That's why it grows in men, and it's killing off a lot of men. You rarely see it hurt women. So that's why I told people the best thing you could do if you took the shot, get on an estrogen regimen until further notice, because the testosterone is what's killing. It amplifies it and kills it. I tell people the booster shot is nothing more than a testosterone injection. They're feeding the creature. If it doesn't hurt you fast enough, they feed it to make it grow. And then people expire after they get that booster. My science is sound. I just didn't have enough audience because I kept getting kicked off of social media until now. But now I'm back. So, better late than never, right?
Right, man. And so this is what I'm gonna do, Rico, because we're approaching the end time.
Gotcha.
I want to bring you back on, and we can discuss, because we kind of was catching up this episode, and we barely talked about Erica and Candace, and so we got to come back.
There's a lot going on.
So we got to come back and do a show. I got to change this title. I'm probably change to Catching Up with Rico, or something. But
Blanche, this is sweet. Me and you, bro, we go back some years, and we have so much to talk about. Like, even when we get off live right now, I have 4 other videos I got to do tonight about different topics, and I got to, so I mean, there's a lot going on. There's no slow days in media right now. I mean, there's news articles, there's health. I got a lot of different topics to talk about, so I'm about to be on here all night. So anytime you're available, bro, you can always invite me. I'm always happy to come on and talk to you, brother.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do it like maybe in a couple of days. If you're free, we can do a part 2 and talk about what you want to talk about. Because like I said, you all please go follow. He has a Safe and Effective podcast. You can follow. Well, you tell him.
Oh yeah, okay. So I'm on YouTube. It's Right Wing Rico or The Single Boyfriend. The Single Boyfriend is my primary page. Because I talk about relationship stuff, but I also talk about the politics and everything. I wear this red MAGA hat because even though I don't always agree with Trump, I'm from California, so I saw what happens when you let Democrats take control. I can never let the United States go back into the hands of the people that did that to my once beautiful, amazing state. So because of that, I always wear a MAGA hat so I don't forget what happened and how I got here. I mean, I was jumping state to state looking for freedom. Found it in Texas. Love Texas. Will probably one day die defending Texas. Until then, I'll make my stand by talking to people and sharing information and, having these conversations. People don't want to talk anymore. They literally shut up Charlie Kirk because they felt it necessary to remove a man's tongue. So that just shows you how important it is. Look at Candace Owens, the most powerful woman on earth right now. The entire world is afraid of her and what she can say. It just shows you the power of words. So that's why I felt like, and then look at people like Scott Adams dying from the jab, like a lot of other people on social media.
Crazy. That's crazy.
So there's a big void that's coming. So people like Blanche and myself, we're going to step in to fill these spaces.
Hold on. I'll get your social media real quick. Hold on. So we have the Single Boy. Hold on, let me do it on one page. Let me do all of them. So we have the Give Them To Me, The Single Boyfriend.
Yeah, The Single Boyfriend on YouTube, or Right Wing Rico on YouTube. But I'm also Right Wing Rico on Instagram.
So The Single Boyfriend, and I want to bring you back on and talk about some relationship stuff too.
Man, bro, I'm more than happy. I wanted to get into that actually too.
We're gonna get into it. Definitely.
Yeah, because I've been in and out of my relationship. It's because again, I was stuck with her because of the jab. Yeah, I mean, but I would meet people, but I had to screen the hell out of everybody. I didn't let nobody that was a liberal or a Democrat or anybody that took those shots come around me. And if I found out you had it, you couldn't come around me no more.
So what's the IG? Is it Safe and Effective Podcast? Or is that one?
That's my other one that I talk about, just the COVID stuff. But my actual podcast IG is Right Wing Rico.
Okay, and then
I didn't see that you had responded on the Safe and Effective. My bad, bro. I meant to get back to you sooner. Because I had messaged you.
And Safe and Effective is on IG too?
Yes, sir. That's on Instagram too. Yep. Safe and Effective Podcast. And that's where I talk about everything from 2020 till now having to do with the shot. I share all the information, all the data, all the vaccine stuff. I just did another video on the VAERS study and how there was a 14-day rule of if you pass away less than 2 weeks after taking the second shot, then they didn't label you as a vaccinated death. They did that to manipulate you. They lied. They scammed us all of us.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to talk about it no more. Everybody's shies away from it. They're nervous. They're hoping they can just bury their heads in the sand and forget about it. I'm not going to let anybody ever forget what happened.
I'm telling you, man, they want a soft landing. They want to solve people. I'm telling you, they want to listen, man. They want a soft landing, especially these women. These women are in la la land, dog.
You know what's scary about the women? Because of estrogen, they're not dying as fast from the shot, but they're spreading it to men whose testosterone amplifies it, and then the men are dying from it. So the women are actually going to be the last ones here. They're going to be here longer than everybody. That's why they keep showing you Black Panther Part 2, where it's basically just all women. They're showing you that in the future there's not going to be men around. That's why they're trying to convince women they can be men and there's not going to be a lot of men around going forward. Because a lot of the men, the biggest and the strongest men that I knew that took the shot, they're dead now. All my friends that used to work out, you know how many friends that died of mine at the 24-hour fitness while they were hooping or lifting weights? I'm at over 20-something friends at the Ladera 24-hour fitness that literally died in the gym in the past year, people that I knew personally. Friends are dying. There's a girl who I used to date her. She moved back from Chicago and she was married. I was like, what the hell are you doing out here? She's like, yeah, I'm back in town. I'm like, yeah, my old man died. I'm like, your dad died? So you're out here visiting? She says, no, my husband. She had just got married. Her husband was 33 years old playing basketball. He had just took it to keep a job. He had just, what's crazy about, I want to talk about that on the next episode. They started all of a sudden giving Black people who were unqualified jobs and job offers. And they were offering you good money for jobs that you didn't really qualify for, only because they wanted to force you to get the vaccine to keep the job.
Listen, I know somebody, his mother told him don't take it. His mom said don't take it. His job said take it. When I tell you he took it and he got laid off a month later. He had a great 6-figure job. He took it and got laid off a month later. I said, my goodness.
Hey, listen, I know this girl, right? She works for the IRS. She can hardly read or type. She sound ghetto as hell. She just got laid off like 6 months ago, right when Trump got back in office. They laid her off. And she was like, you know what, Rico? I never met my supervisor. I said, what do you mean? She was like, they hired me and they just been paying me and I don't have to check in. I just send them my hours. I said, wait a minute. There's no, what did you do? She was like, I don't know what I do. I've been here 2.5 years. Anyway, she realized that after about 6 months where she's used to that money, because it changed her whole lifestyle, that government job, they asked her to go take the vaccine, but she's like, I work from home. What do I need the shot for? I'm not even working in the office.
Right.
What they did was whatever amount of money they paid you at those jobs over that 2-3 years you were working there, that was what the cost was for your life. They paid you to euthanize yourself. They bought your body from you. So whatever she earned, that 200-something thousand was how much her life was worth, because that's all they only gave you the job to euthanize you. They only gave you the job to give you the shot. They only hired these people to give them the shot. Because think about it. A lot of Black people are vaccine hesitant. You would have to literally pay them, but you couldn't do it. It's money laundering if you give them direct cash. So you had to give them a fake job for a made up position with no supervisor. And people were like, man, I'm losing my job. And they were like, this is easy.
I'm gonna tell you how cold the game was. So
Cold.
if it was a remote job like based in California, they were trying to get people that were working remote, not even in the state of California, to get the shot. And so one of my friends was trying. I say, listen, man. I said, talk to your manager and tell him you live in Georgia, you don't live in California, you don't need to get to please talk to them. He told me everything was cool, but most folks wouldn't do that.
No.
Most folks would just comply and take the shot. And they would never question, losing that 6-figure job.
I don't know if you know who Hocus 4/5 is, right? But I was doing when I got kicked off of all my social media, all I had was Clubhouse. So I just started doing it. So me and him, we talked tens of thousands of people every night in those rooms. And there were people that would come to me personally, like girls I used to know, and they'll say, Rico, they're threatening me. They're going to fire me. Rico, they made me a manager as soon as I started here, and I have no idea why. I'm not even experienced. They are giving you these jobs because they want to inject you. So I told her, I said, look, if they fire you, tell me how much you make a week. I'll pay you that much until you get another job. I'll supplement your income. I would offer people that because I was so confident that they were never going to fire you because that's illegal. To fire an American because you don't want to participate in an experimental medical procedure is illegal and unconstitutional. And you're going to win when this is over. And
I thought the same thing, but I got fired though.
But you can sue though.
They told me statute of limitations ran out.
And that's the issue. Had you been on it right when it happened, you'd be able to sue. But
what happened was I went to the EEOC and they were like, "Oh, we don't have any appointments for like a year." And so I put my
they set you up.
So I put my information in, and I never even thought about the EEOC until I looked at my email one day. These people did the biggest pump fake. They said I was a year out, but they hit me back the next week. I wasn't even looking for the EEOC. I said, God, they got me. Yeah. They got me, though.
Man. Hey, bro, listen. They got a lot of people. Like I said, my friend, she said, Rico, she's like, they never ended up firing me. They just threatened me. And I told them, you know what, if you're going to fire me, go ahead. She's like, they never fired me. And then soon as Putin did the invasion of the Ukraine, they dropped all the mandates where they're going to force you to take the shot. And she was like, they dropped it the next week and they ain't said nothing to me about it. I said, so you telling me you would have let them inject you with some experimental substance from God knows where, and all you had to do was just wait it out for another week? You know, a good friend of mine that was a comedian, he had 2 kids. He passed away about 3 months after taking it. But I remember talking to him online and I was like, bro, he was talking about going to Mexico and Hawaii. I said, because he was getting that PPP money. I think they gave people that money just so that you would travel and have to take the shot to come back into the country.
Right.
Remember, you were going, even to go to Hawaii, you had to take the shot. And I think they bought everybody's body because they gave people money because they wanted you to have to use it and go do things. And you would need those injections to get around. I seen the play, Blanche. They tricked everybody, bro. I know you're my bad. I know we got to go. You let me know when you get some time, bro. I'm here for the conversation.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you after the show. We're gonna come back on soon, though, man. 'Cause I want to finish the conversation. So maybe probably like when you're free again, next time you're free.
Oh, yeah.
But
man, I ain't gonna lie. Instead of partying, I'd rather just sit here and make videos. That's why we ain't got my professional microphone, and I got to get a different camera. I'm using this phone, but I'm doing this now. I just like sitting up here and chopping it up and talking to the people. That's it. And I didn't realize how many people actually want to have these conversations. You know, I mean, this is important. I mean, you're doing God's work, Blanche. So I appreciate you even talking to me and bringing me on, bro.
I appreciate it, man. Just hang around after the show, Rico, and I'm gonna just tell them goodbye. I'll do it right now. Listen, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in today. You know I love y'all. Hope y'all follow Rico. Great content. Hope y'all enjoyed the show tonight. And we'll be back with a part 2. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. All right.
And you know what? Remember, America first, America only.
Amen. Amen.